There comes a moment after losing someone. A quiet moment nobody prepares you for. The moment you realize you are searching for them in everyone else. Not consciously, not intentionally, but emotionally. You hear a laugh that almost sounds like theirs, and your heart reacts before your mind does. You meet someone with familiar eyes, and for a second, something inside you pauses. You find fragments of them in random people. A gesture, a phrase, a certain softness in the way someone speaks. But every time, the illusion disappears. Because no matter how many similarities exist, no one feels like them. And that realization becomes heavier over time. At first, people think replacing someone emotionally is simple. That new attention will erase old attachment. That time alone automatically heals emotional depth. But time does not erase emotionally significant people. It transforms how they live inside you, especially the ones who touched parts of your soul nobody else ever reached. Those people do not disappear completely. They become emotional reference points. And once someone becomes a reference point inside your emotional world, every future connection is unconsciously compared to them. That is the tragedy of deep attachment. You stop searching for people and start searching for feelings. The feeling of being understood without explanation. The feeling of emotional safety. The feeling of silence that never felt uncomfortable. And the painful truth is, certain feelings only existed because of one specific person. Not because they were perfect, but because emotional chemistry is rare. Rare in the deepest sense. Most human connections stay near the surface. Temporary attraction, temporary excitement, temporary comfort. But sometimes, someone enters your life and reaches beyond personality, beyond appearances, beyond words. They touch your inner world directly. And once that happens, you never experience connection the same way again. This is why some people spend years trying to replace someone emotionally, only to realize they were never searching for another person. They were searching for the emotional experience that person created inside them. And emotional experiences cannot be copied exactly, because every soul leaves its own emotional imprint. Some people leave memories. Others leave transformations. You change something inside them permanently. Not dramatically, quietly. You changed how certain conversations felt, how certain silences felt, how emotional closeness itself felt. And now, everything afterward feels slightly incomplete. This is why they see you in everyone, but find you in no one. Because fragments are everywhere. But your emotional presence was unique. At first, they resist this realization. The ego hates admitting emotional rarity. It wants to believe everyone is replaceable. That emotional attachment is temporary. That moving on is simply a matter of time and distraction. So they try. They meet new people, start new conversations, create new moments. And externally, it may even seem successful. But internally, something feels missing. Not loudly, subtly. The conversations lack depth. The connection feels performative. The emotional comfort feels incomplete. And without realizing it, they begin comparing. Not intentionally, emotionally. Because the nervous system remembers what genuine connection felt like. It remembers the emotional rhythm you created naturally. The way your presence lowered their defenses. The way they could exist around you without constantly performing. And once someone experiences that kind of emotional safety, artificial connection becomes easier to recognize. That is why emotionally meaningful people become unforgettable. Not because they were idealized, but because they altered emotional standards permanently. After experiencing genuine depth, superficial connection feels emotionally empty. This creates loneliness even around other people. Imagine sitting beside someone new, while your mind quietly compares them to someone from your past. Not because you want to, but because your emotions recognize the difference instinctively. And that comparison slowly becomes painful, because eventually, reality becomes impossible to deny. You were rare. Not rare because you were flawless. Rare because the emotional connection felt alive in ways they cannot recreate elsewhere. This realization changes people slowly. At first, it appears as nostalgia, memories replaying unexpectedly, thoughts surfacing late at night, moments where they suddenly miss your energy without warning. But nostalgia evolves. It becomes emotional awareness. Awareness that what they lost was deeper than they originally understood. And this awareness follows them into future connections. Every time someone almost reminds them of you, the mind reacts emotionally. But almost becomes heartbreaking after enough time. Because almost is not enough. Almost understood me. Almost felt like home. Almost reached my soul the same way. But never fully. And slowly, they begin realizing something difficult. You were not simply part of their life. You became part of how they emotionally experienced life itself. That is why your absence continues echoing inside them. Not because they are weak. Not because they are obsessed. But because emotional imprinting is real. People who deeply affect your emotional world leave psychological fingerprints behind. And fingerprints remain. Especially when the connection carried vulnerability, authenticity, emotional intimacy. Because humans do not truly crave endless attention. They crave emotional recognition. To feel seen deeply, understood naturally, accepted fully. And when someone provides that, the nervous system attaches powerfully. That attachment becomes memory. And memory becomes comparison. This is why they unconsciously search for you in other people. Not your appearance. Not your exact personality. Your emotional effect. The way you made ordinary moments feel emotionally meaningful. The way your presence softened their inner chaos. The way conversations with you felt emotionally real instead of performative. And once someone experiences emotional authenticity deeply enough, they cannot fully return to emotional superficiality comfortably. This realization becomes haunting over time. Because now, no matter how many people enter their life, part of them still searches for what only existed with you. And this creates internal conflict. Part of them wants to let go completely. Move forward. Stop revisiting emotional memory. But another part keeps recognizing your absence everywhere. In conversations that feel empty. In emotional moments that feel less alive. In silence that no longer feels peaceful. Because your emotional presence changed their internal world permanently. This is why some people never truly replace certain connections. They continue living, continue meeting people, continue experiencing life. But emotionally, a part of them still compares everything to the depth they once felt before. And comparison quietly intensifies your memory over time, especially when regret exists beneath the surface. Regret for not appreciating you fully. Regret for assuming emotional rarity was common. Regret for believing someone like you could easily be replaced. That regret changes memory itself. Now they replay moments differently. Your patience feels more meaningful. Your understanding feels rarer. Your emotional presence feels irreplaceable. And slowly, the person they once thought they could move on from easily becomes emotionally unmatched in memory. This is why silence often strengthens emotional impact instead of weakening it. Because silence removes distraction. Without constant interaction, the mind focuses purely on emotional significance. And emotional significance becomes clearer through absence. That is the cruel beauty of loss. Sometimes people only understand depth after they no longer have access to it. By then, the connection already belongs to memory instead of reality. And memory becomes sacred when emotional rarity is involved. Not because the relationship was perfect, but because it felt emotionally genuine. And genuine connection is one of the rarest experiences in human life. Maybe that is why certain people stay with us forever internally. Not as active pain, not constant longing, but as emotional reference points. Invisible emotional landmarks attached to who we became during the connection. And once someone becomes part of your emotional identity, You carry traces of them into every future chapter of your life. That is why they still see you everywhere. Not literally, emotionally. A sentence reminds them of you. A silence feels like you. A moment of emotional warmth suddenly pulls your memory into the room. And each reminder quietly reinforces the same truth. No one has truly felt like you since. No one has recreated the same emotional atmosphere, the same depth, the same emotional recognition. Because some people do not simply enter your life. They alter your emotional language itself. And once that language changes, nothing shallow satisfies you emotionally anymore. This is both the beauty and tragedy of deep connection. The beauty is experiencing something emotionally rare. The tragedy is realizing how rare it truly was only after losing it. And maybe somewhere right now, someone is carrying your emotional imprint exactly like this, trying to move forward externally, while internally still comparing everyone to the way you made them feel. Not because they refuse to heal, but because certain connections permanently reshape emotional standards. That is your real impact. Not temporary attention, not temporary attraction. Transformation. You transformed how they understand connection itself. And transformations are not forgotten easily, even in silence, even through distance, even through time. Because emotionally significant people are never fully replaced. They become part of the emotional architecture of memory itself. So now I want to ask you something. Have you ever searched for someone's presence in other people, only to realize nobody truly felt the same? Or do you think someone out there still compares everyone to the emotional connection they once had with you? Comment below. I want to hear your story. And if this spoke to something real inside you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Silent Ego.